Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pope.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Pope. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. We'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. We'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing? Welcome back to First Contact Radio. Hope you are well today. Today is the 23rd of February. Right here, 23rd of February. Our sun sign is in Pisces, the water sign, represented by two fish, one swimming in one direction, one swimming in the other. The reason they're swimming in opposite directions is because they represent the emotions, and it tells us that when the emotions get pushed, sometimes we go this way and sometimes we go that way. Sometimes the emotions just get us going crazy, and so we need to learn not to allow our emotions to get pushed so we can swim one direction. We can move in the direction that we need to move without getting tossed all around. And that's part of the issue that we're dealing with, and that's why this cosmic weather is important, because we want to understand what's going on around us so that we can move through all of this energy. This is the tarot card that represents Pisces, and it represents coming out of the water, evolving through life, getting to the pillars of what we know, and then moving into the unknown, which is certainly what we are doing as we explore various texts and information that is not typically told to the general public. So we're having to dig for it. We're having to go into the unknown to find this information. And so faith is required because we don't always have a point of reference other than that faith. But we know that we have within us that spirit that allows us to see the truth of things and decipher what is going on. So we use that faith as we move into the unknown. The moon sign, just like yesterday, is also the same. It's in Virgo. Virgo is an earth sign. So remember, earth sign, Virgo, is the hermit. It's the one who's holding the lantern high for others to see. It means patience and timing. Patience and timing. The planet associated is Saturn, which is the planet that deals with time. And as we know, time is a very important aspect of our lives down here on Earth because things move according to a timeline from past to present to future. Okay, a linear timeline. Now, time can be more than linear, and when we step offside of this Earth plane and we look at time, it is more than linear. Time can bounce from past to the future, back to the present, and so on and so on. Non-linear time. When someone is doing editing, if you've done any sort of editing at all, whether it's music or video, whatever, you understand about non-linear timing because you are not necessarily putting something together in the same order. When a movie is made, it's not put together from beginning to end. It's put together in bits and pieces in a non-linear way, but at the end it all comes together telling a story in a linear fashion from beginning to end. Okay, so when we look at time, we need to look at time in many different ways. And down here on Earth, there are many ways to look at time. Okay, so that's something just to be aware of. So we're dealing with a water sign and an earth sign. If we think of water and earth, they can make mud. Or earth can be an island floating on the water. Or in the case of where we are in our universe, our Earth floats among the waters. Our Earth is in the waters. So there's a very direct significance to that, which is what we were talking about yesterday, and we'll get into some of that today as well. Some of the aspects we're going to be looking at, they all take place this afternoon after 12 p.m. We've got a lesson, a square, right here between Saturn and the moon. So we know that. So let's put it together. It's like a puzzle. Just remember the keywords. The moon is the unconscious, our unconscious desires. So the unconscious desires, which at this point in time are dealing with Earth issues, are running into a lesson and squaring Saturn, which is teaching us discipline, focus. Okay, also Saturn, remember I said it deals with the hermit. So there has to be some sort of discipline in order for this hermit to go and get the light. In order to shine it, patience and timing was required. So we have to apply discipline. Sometimes discipline is focusing things. You take all that energy that's all out there and you focus it down, you discipline it down into one usable form that we can present into the world. Okay, so that's one of the aspects there. 2 p.m. we have an opposition. Jupiter is going to be opposite Chiron. Chiron is the aspect of ourselves called the wounded healer. It's that part of ourselves that is wounded, but is also the healer aspect, that we are able to, through the wounds and the injuries we have, if we look at them as lessons, we're able to understand and overcome those. So there's an expansion of us understanding why things have happened to us, some of the reasons why we've had to go through some of the trials, the tribulations, the wounds that we've gone through. And so if we look and see a little bit more in depth of where that is, here we have Chiron. It's in Pisces. And here we have Jupiter in Virgo. So that means Jupiter, which is an expander, it expands the ideas of what Virgo is about: patience, timing, the earth, understanding things of this earth. So it expands that understanding out, and in that understanding, our emotions and our feelings now are going to be affected, and in those feelings and emotions, we're going to find out where this woundedness comes from. Sometimes we get wounded, we get hurt, our feelings get hurt. And that's often a source of some of our problems. So we need to look at that and understand, is that benefiting us or is it not benefiting us? This afternoon, 2:17 p.m., Pluto, which is about transformation, is going to be in a trine with Virgo, the Earth. So the patience and timing of Virgo now is going to lead us to some sort of transformative aspect in our lives. You know, there's a great deal that can be learned through being patient and timing as opposed to being impatient. We learn a great deal about ourselves and our ability to discipline ourselves, to be disciplined, to be focused. Because it's easy just to run amok, but to focus that energy can be very transformative, because then we learn and unlock something about ourselves that's very important. 8:44 p.m., Jupiter now is back, and it's expanding Virgo, but they're right next to each other, okay? So whenever you have these things right next to each other, as we do right here, it's like they're both in the same house. It's like two characters standing next to each other at a party or in a house and just having a conversation. Well, and sometimes when you have that conversation, you know how when you're together with somebody at a party and you have a face-to-face conversation, there's some sort of interaction that takes place a little different than if you're across the room looking at somebody. Okay, so here we have an aspect where our unconscious desires to express and deal with the earth are expanding, and there's a talking about what does that mean? How does that affect us? What do we do? Okay? And then finally, we have an opposition again, and this time it is the moon in Virgo opposite Chiron. So we had Jupiter over here opposite Chiron. Now we have the moon. So we've had a chance to expand things. And now we're going to look at the patience and timing and understand what is being healed through this process. Okay? All right, let's look at the moon phase for today. We've already had the full moon yesterday. So now we're making our way back down from the full moon to the new moon. And we will be at the new moon on March 8th. Later in the afternoon, just shy of 6 o'clock at 5:54 p.m. So right now we're 99.2%, and it's the waning moon. Waning means going down, waxing means going up. Like Karate Kid, wax on, wane off. Wax up, wane down. Wax up, wane down. On the Jewish calendar, it's 14 Adar. 14 Adar. And the daily thought for today. Now, think about this daily thought. Remember the things that we've been going over and learning about the Nag Hammadi library, and yesterday all of the information that we learned about the various ways of looking at the Earth and all of the aspects dealing with the Earth and so on. So now just think of that and apply this to it. This was the same one as yesterday. There's no greater high than finding truth on your own. Okay? All the worlds were made, all barriers put in place, every veil over truth was hung, and the soul plummeted from its pristine height, from the pleroma, from the 12 realms, into the confusion of this harsh world. So remember when Sophia dropped down? She went from the immortal realms into the confusion of the mortal realms, and that's where Yaldabaoth came in. And for this one thing, you should uncover truth on your own. So all the worlds are made, all barriers put in place, every veil over truth was hung, and the soul plummeted from its pristine height into the confusion of the harsh world. All for this one thing alone, that you should uncover truth on your own. On the Mayan oracle, or the Dreamspell oracle, it's the beginning of a new wave spell, so we have a new theme that's going to be playing out this next 13 days. The theme is the World Bridger. The World Bridger is the one between life and death. It teaches us that there's a thin veil between life and death, between the immortal realms and the mortal realms. Kind of ties into what was there. It talked about the veil, right? Well, here is the World Bridger. It's the veil. On one side you have immortality, on the other side you have mortality. So we're going to look at that and try to understand what that means as we're moving through this path. And on the beginning of every wave spell, the first one, the magnetic tone that gathers and attracts things, the guide is always the same. So today is the World Bridger, guided by the World Bridger. Our vision is our hidden power. Our challenge today are the questions we ask, but the Skywalker is our like-minded energy, our ability to explore. We just came off of the Skywalker wave spell, so we've learned a great deal about exploration. So this is our ally at the moment. And the phrase for today is I unify in order to equalize attracting opportunity. I seal the store of death with the magnetic tone of purpose. I am guided by my own power doubled. It's because you've got the guide here is the same as the daily. Spaceweather.com solar wind is 372.0 kilometers per second. The K index is quiet at a 1, could get up to a 2. Large corona hole here up at the top. Got the big one at the bottom still. This one seems like it's filled in a little bit, but not too much. Anyway, today, tomorrow, it says we're going to be feeling some wind off of the sun here, the solar wind. M-class flare possibilities up at 5%, X-class at 1%. Geomagnetic storm activity is increasing slightly over the next 24 to 48 hours. In the mid-latitudes, it's going from 10% to 15. In the upper latitudes, from 15 to 25. And in the night sky, this evening, you've got your moon. And left of the moon, you're going to have Jupiter. This is between 7 and 8 p.m. this evening, so after it just gets dark, so you got the moon. Left is Jupiter. Straight up from the moon, we've got the head of Leo the Lion. Regulus is a little bit off to the right. Right, and with the Nobla, to the lower left of Jupiter here. Tells us the moon and Jupiter shine together, and they rise around twilight tonight, although they appear paired. Jupiter is currently 1,700 times further away, and it's 40 times larger in diameter. Use binoculars to spot some of Jupiter's own 4 big moons. The easiest will be Callisto to the planet's east. They're pinpoints in binocs, but roughly as big as our own moon in reality. Watch the moon pull away eastward from Jupiter through the rest of the night. Okay, so the moon's going to keep traveling east, and Jupiter's just going to be right there. So it's like a race. It's racing away from it. All right, and that's our cosmic weather at the moment. So that's what we're dealing with energetically around us. We got water, so we got a lot of emotions. Emotions are the conscious mind, the things we're thinking about on the surface, and the unconscious mind, the earth, dealing with things of this material realm. And that is our cosmic weather, which brings us to UFO news.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very, very much. UFO news. We've got 6 good stories here. The first story, this is about the Pope, and the Pope in the Pope-mobile, as you can see right here. And it says, aliens guard Pope as he enters Mexico City. So it's got this surrounded here. Trying to get a good view. I really haven't pulled up to see too much. Here's something a little different right here when you look at it from this view. Kind of makes you wonder what the heck that is. It says Mexican news is reporting that the Pope came to visit, and in the famous Pope-mobile, they recorded several aliens sitting with him. It's known to most UFO researchers that aliens exist on the planet, some helping, some profiting, but most ignoring the human race. This is a good example of the first 2. This is very similar to the alien secret service agent that President Obama has working for him. And here's an image right there. Okay, Mexico City caused controversy in social networks, an image of an alleged ghost of John Paul II who accompanied the Pope Francisco on one of the travels during his recent visit to Mexico. In the picture on the net, a shadow can be seen in the black back of the open Pope-mobile, which users say is Juan Pablo II. Some users described as a miracle of God, the supposed appearance of the Pontiff who died in 2005 doing a tour of France. The truth, Pope Francisco headed by Pope-mobile to the Stadium Jose Maria Morales in Ipavlan for a meeting with young people in Morelia. Behind the cameraman, 2 security guards and officers, and Cardinal Alberto Suarez India, Archbishop of the diocese, were what seems to be the face of San Juan Pablo. It is actually the blurred face of Cardinal Suarez India, to be confused with someone put a blanket over the chair of the Pope-mobile. Okay, so videos there. You can check it out, see what you think. Is it just somebody pulling our leg, or is this some reality to that? I mean, my first thought when I looked at it, hey, this guy looks like a Pope back here. It's like is that his double? And this is the being here. That's the alien being. See him right there. UFO reported crashing over the mountains in France. See some hockey players checking it out. The helicopter, this UFO was reported crashing to Earth, and the French government sent a helicopter to go investigate. The helicopter reported that only burnt ground was seen. If this was a meteorite, then it should be investigated to find it for the local museum. Perhaps they are lying. They may have found more. It says a reported UFO in the Sky Holy Cross, the Vineyards. One resident thought he saw Wednesday afternoon an unidentified flying object. The French government went on to note that the operations center and the intelligence of Gendarmerie of Ganodi received a call to say that yesterday and late Wednesday a UFO was recorded. Thus, a resident of Sainte-Croix-de-Monat area claimed that the police had seen on his commune what he thought was an aircraft positioned at low altitude, which then disappeared through the thick smoke. The authorities have taken this very seriously. The call to the point where they have sent patrols on the site with a helicopter, but no traces of the plane were found, nor were reported. The mystery remains. So there you go. Okay, that's our object in question that they all saw. Well, not all of them. This guy's looking at it. These people don't know what's going on. It seems like he's stopped and he's looking at like, what the heck is that? Glowing UFO over Korea shows common trend worldwide. Ball in the sky there from Gyeonggi Province, Korea. Eyewitness says, I tracked the UFO in Korea. One of the people that captured this UFO was mystery writer UFO Hunter Ho, who attended an intentional UFO atmospheric shot in Gyeonggi Province, Ujeonggi, Nongyeong-dong, Yongyang Station Square on the 15th February nighttime, 2016, in the middle of the night at northwest of the province, Yangju City area chamber. The UFO was seen flying and glowing a blue rugby tail to the naked eye. I tried to release this video as soon as I could from my camcorder to the public networks. The glowing object was seen for about 1 minute and flying very low altitude and soon disappeared into the northwest direction. The first visual observations were that it looked like a blue rugby that had a speed of an aircraft or helicopter. Okay, links available, you can check it out. Bizarre image caught uncovering the mystery. Many people think that to see is to believe, and that they find it hard to believe in something that they've never seen before. Millions of people have reported UFO sightings for decades now. Despite the numerous sightings, the phenomena are still unexamined. What's more, the media have held claims to ridicule. Reports go back as early as 1878, and their number increased. As a growing evidence of the existence of extraterrestrial life, an image took by a space watcher shows a structured spacecraft in Europe, which is believed to be the sixth largest moon. Space watchers thought that the object was an indication of the existence of alien and other planet. The captured photo posted by security team reveals the images on camera embedded in a 7D 300mm telescopic lens on a tripod. The video shows an image by British man Louis Reed sent to the UFO watchers. He was so amazed at his findings that he sent it to request for a second opinion. According to the film, the extraterrestrial vessel comes close to Jupiter's moon Europa, but has never been seen until today. Okay, very interesting. We have Jupiter and its moons here. Okay, moving on. This next one is watch mysterious space object seen hovering above Earth. Okay, here's our object right there. This object seems to trail the International Space Station in a video that emerges from Russia. Baffling footage appears to show a piece of debris or a spacecraft following the station last month as it orbited the Earth. It was allegedly shot on the ISS while the satellite waited for a special delivery. Many had thought that the object was UFO, but others stay skeptical about the video's authenticity and the explanation that was given for it. Some suggested that the short video didn't have the same quality of the footage from the cameras on the ISS. Furthermore, the object rotation Furthermore, the object's rotation and the motion don't look like an object in orbit. Because of the observation, some suggest that the object in the clip is a Russian Soyuz spacecraft used to transport cosmonauts in space. Okay. There it is. So what do you think that is? Could be space debris. Don't know. But there it is. And here we go. Alright, newly discovered tapes reveal NASA astronauts heard music on the moon. Look how big the moon is compared to the Earth. The big blue ball. Isn't that exciting? If you're behind the moon and you hear some weird noise on the radio and you know you're blocked from Earth, then what could you possibly think? The crew of Apollo mission and the moon were so startled that they encountered strange music-like radio transmissions coming through their headsets. They didn't know whether or not to report it to NASA, and it's been revealed. It was 1969, 2 months before the Apollo 11 historic first manned landing on the moon, when Apollo 10 entered lunar orbit, which included traversing the far side of the moon. When all spacecraft are out of radio contact with Earth for about an hour, and nobody on Earth can see or hear them. As far as the public knows everything about the mission went smoothly. Almost 4 decades went by before the lost recordings emerged and revealed something unsettling of the 3 astronauts' and experience while flying far above the dark side of the moon. The tape recordings contain strange, otherworldly music coming through the Apollo module radio, according to the upcoming Science Channel series NASA's Unexplained Files. The conversation between the 3 astronauts indicated they heard sounds like they never heard before. It sounds like, outer space type music. You heard that? That whistling sound? Ooh. Well, that was sure weird music. The unexplained music transmission lasted about an hour. Just before the astronauts regained radio contact with Earth, they discussed whether or not to tell the mission control what they had experienced. Alright, there's more to the story here. Apparently, they were the first ones to get a listen to Pink Floyd and The Dark Side of the Moon, long before anybody else, and they were blown away by what they heard. So, moving on from there, let's jump away to a song. Let's do Great Spirit today. How about that? I'll be back.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Rolling round and round. light. Show us the way each and every day. Oh, 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 oh.
All right, let's continue on. So, yesterday, lots of information that was there. I got a couple of emails, and, the information for some was a bit much. And that's okay. Think of it like a meal. Sometimes you sit down at the table and you eat a meal, and sometimes it's a lot of food. And you got to step back and you got to digest it before you take some more. And that's okay, because there's a lot going on. The way I look at things at this point in time, I'm very interested in putting together the pieces of the puzzle. To just show random stories that don't fit together just doesn't really seem to make sense at this point in time. It's like in the movie Gladiator, at the one line where Maximus says to the man in the Senate, he goes, "Time for talk and half measures is over." And I believe that's the case. I believe we're at a crucial point, a point in time where we either understand what's going on or we just don't. And if we don't, I think there's consequences, because the events that have been discussed for a long period of time throughout esoteric philosophy, science, by the spiritual teachers of the planet, have led us to a place of understanding that there's something very significant taking place right now in our lives. I don't think anybody that is watching will doubt that there's things taking place that are very significant. We see it every day. And it's as if events from the Book of Revelation and various other apocryphal writings are playing out before our very eyes. It's as if that's the script that is being followed. And so if that's the case, then we need to take a look at understanding where our place in all of that is. And if there is a writing or writings that seem to describe what we're going through at this point in time, then that itself should bring in questions like, how did somebody know? Who wrote all this down that knew all of this? Was this the Almighty, the Father, that inspired this? Or was this something else that was written by somebody that pre-planned all of this? You see, when a movie is made, you start with the script, and the script is written before anything happens. So is there a script that was written before all of these things that were unfolding are happening, and we're just playing it out? It's quite possible. So I want to put all the pieces together and really look at things from a different perspective, outside of the box, if you will. So I really appreciate when I'm sent various links that kind of tie into all of this. One of these links, one of our viewers sent, is this one right here, Astro-theology. I watched this the other day. Very, very interesting. Lots of information in here that really gets into discussing, as it says, the origin of religion and the zodiac. And I think it's very important for us to take a look and understand what this is, because as we have learned, this reality that we are in was created by Yaldabaoth. Yaldabaoth had 7 sons. These sons are the ones who are associated with the 7 main planets: the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Okay, the 7 main lights that we're dealing with. So, question that I have in mind and that I'm considering through all of this, as this reality was created, and Yaldabaoth created this as a counterfeit of what he understood as the immortal realms, is the workings that we see when we look at the astrology, the planets, the stars, the lights, is this something that is specific to us here in this physical plane, or is this something that is part of the immortal realms? And I'm tending to think that this is something specific to where we are now, that is keeping us immersed in this physical reality. I also think that this is part of the timing of this reality. And so looking at this helps us to understand what's going on a daily basis, because we can look then and see what is the energy around us. We can dismiss this and say this means nothing, or we can look at this and say there's something to this because it seems to be teaching us something, because we do find on a day-to-day basis when we look at the astrology, it does seem to apply. So we can't just throw it out and say there's no merit to it whatsoever, because we know that that is not the case. We know that there is some merit to it. If there wasn't a merit to it, if people didn't find that there was some benefit they were gaining from it, or that there was some correlation, we would have dismissed this a long time ago. But enough people have found that to be the case that it continues to be on, something we study. As Great Spirit was playing and I was hearing the words, the wheel of life keeps rolling round and round, nothing you can do would stop it, nothing will slow it down. It made me think about the zodiac and how it's there and how it is something that is affecting us. When we go back to that reading that was with the Jewish calendar about how things change and step down into this world of confusion, kind of also brought me to mind about this, that this seems to be a system that's in place maybe to keep us locked in, maybe to keep us locked into some sort of understanding here. Or maybe it's something for those who are working with this system to use to know how to interact with us down here. There seems to be something important. I'm not certain if this is the be-all, end-all way that it connects in with the immortal realms or not, but it's certainly worth knowing. And this video itself, thank you for sending it to me. This video itself really has a lot of great information. The gentleman, Mark Passio, really has a lot of information about what's going on and how all of this astrology stuff, is interpreted and the definitions and meanings. Very, very informative. So if you look at it for that standpoint, I think you'll get a lot out of it. So I just wanted to present the link. It's going to be available, firstcontactradio.com, so you can take a look at it. What I want to jump to today is the Book of Enoch, so we can look a little bit more at some of the apocryphal writings that are out there. So let's just jump right into this here, okay? Book of Enoch. It says the Book of Enoch, written during the 2nd century BCE, before the Common Era, is one of the most important non-canonical apocryphal works, and probably had a huge influence on early Christians, particularly by Gnostic beliefs filled with hallucinatory visions of heaven and hell, angels and devils. Enoch introduced concepts such as fallen angels, the appearance of a Messiah, resurrection, and a final judgment, and a heavenly kingdom on earth. Interspersed with this material are quasi-scientific digressions on calendrical systems, geography, cosmology, astronomy, and meteorology. The e-text has been prepared especially for sacred text and is a great improvement over various versions on the internet, with an introduction, correct verse numbering, page numbers from 1917 edition, and intact critical apparatus. Okay, so let me jump forward. We're going to just start with chapter number 1. The words and the blessings of Enoch. Now, Enoch was a great-grandfather of Noah. Okay, in the Bible, it talks about Enoch, says Enoch walked with God and was taken up. Okay, so Enoch, there's a whole book. This is the Book of Enoch, of what he experienced during that time when he walked with God. So the question is, who is this God he is walking with? Is he walking with Yahweh? Is that what he is being shown? This kingdom, this world created by Yahweh, which we understand is also Yaldabaoth? Is there some relation to that? Or is there something more? But let's look. The words and blessings of Enoch, wherewith he blesses the elect and the righteous, who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all of the wicked and godless are to be removed. Okay, this here is the key right here. We're talking about a time here living in the day of tribulation, which many who are studying believe that this is the days that we are living in, the days of tribulation. We see events taking place that are unfolding as the book of Revelation shows. So this is a time when we're told the wicked and the godless are to be removed. And therein lies the key. Life is changing here on the earth. We know it. Anyone paying attention can see that. Anyone really paying attention understands that there's something coming down the pike. Something is happening and is on its way. We can feel it. I feel it. You feel it. I have conversations, emails, all kind of stuff. We know something's going on. And so there's this fear in this air, and we have the powers that be that are out there that are trying to create some sort of an effect upon all of the other people. The powers that be, we understand, are those who are influenced by these archons, the archonic influence that is affecting them to behave a certain way. Well, one of the things that we have going on is the powers that be, they don't want to let us know about the extraterrestrials. They are lying to us about them. They tell us that they're going to attack us. We see all kind of programming that leads us to believe that we're going to be attacked. They're going to kill us. Maybe as, The Outer Limits, where they had the episode To Serve Man, that they're coming here for a big feast. But I think that's the illusion. We hear about Project Bluebeam, where they want to show a presentation in the sky, a holographic presentation simulating alien invasion. I think all of this is a ruse to get people of the earth to want to attack whatever beings come from the sky, as if they're all bad. Well, we can't label them all bad. Just as we learn that we don't look at a race of individuals on earth and label that whole group as being bad, we understand that the majority are good. There's just a small percentage. It seems to be that there's a small percentage of badness that exists, whereas goodness is a bigger percentage. But the ones who are doing the bad things, they happen to be in control of the systems that teach people. So media is a big one. Our media is controlled, completely controlled. So when information goes out, people believe what they're told because that is the way it's designed to be. There's an agenda at mind. The agenda is to control the people. I think of the media as a series of sheepdog. And they're all guiding everybody to the same pen. But CNN does things one way, and Fox does things another way, so you think that they're different. And MSNBC does something different. But ultimately, if you really listen to them, they're all saying the same thing. And from time to time, we wonder why they are saying the same thing. You see news reporters, or I don't even want to call them reporters. You see these commentators on these shows like Geraldo. Geraldo's been with all of them. So where does his loyalties lie? Is he with MSNBC? Does he have that mindset, which seems to be more liberal? Or is he over to the mindset of Fox, where it's more conservative? Where are his loyalties? Are his loyalties to the truth of information, or is his loyalty to the paycheck that he's getting? And that goes for all of those in the mainstream media. All these talking heads that we see out there, where are their loyalties? Or is it just to a script? Because you can go online right now and you can find examples all across the country where the mainstream networks are doing a story, and exactly the same time that they're doing a story, you can find another network that's a different network, supposedly the opposite network, telling the same story in almost the same words. And it's comical at first when you watch it. You wonder, how could this be, when you start to see all across the country the same story being told with exactly the same words from different networks to different networks. Then after you're watching, you start realizing that there's a common script that is going around. And if people don't get hip to this, if people don't understand this, then they just get led by the nose to where they need to go. Like the sheepdog, they're being guided to the pen, and you don't realize it. So this tells us that the wicked and the godless are going to be removed. If the powers that be are the wicked and the godless, as we know that they are, they're taking God out of everything they can. They're promoting hatred. They're promoting all the things that are against what we understand the Almighty would want us to understand about our divinity. If they are the ones that are afraid of what's going to be coming out of the sky because it's going to come and remove them, of course they're going to be telling us that we need to be afraid of them, telling us that we need to attack them when they get here. Yet the book of Revelation tells us Yeshua is coming. Jesus is coming. So if Jesus is one of those coming down, why in the world would we want to attack? Why would we want to attack Jesus and the angels that are coming with him? We wouldn't. Unless we have been deceived that we need to be doing that. And that's exactly what's going on here. Okay, the words and the blessings of Enoch, wherewith he blesseth the elect and the righteous who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all the wicked and the godless are to be removed. And he took up his parable and said, Enoch, a righteous man, whose eyes were opened by God, saw the vision of the Holy One in heavens, which the angel showed me. And from them I heard everything, and from them I understood, as I saw, but not for this generation, or for a remote one which is for to come. Concerning the elect, I said, and took up my parable concerning them. The great, holy great one will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal God will tread upon the earth, even on Mount Sinai, and appear from his camp, and appear in the strength of his might from the heaven of heavens. And all shall be smitten with fear, and the watchers shall quake, and great fear and trembling shall seize them into the ends of the earth. And the high mountains shall be shaken, and high hills shall be made low, and shall melt like wax before a flame. And the earth shall be wholly rent in sunder, and all that is upon the earth shall perish, and there shall be judgment upon all men. But with the righteous he will make peace, and he will protect the elect, and mercy shall be upon them. And they shall all belong to God, and they shall be prospered, and they shall all be blessed. And he will help them all, and light shall appear unto them, and he will make peace with them. And behold, he cometh with 10,000s of his holy ones to execute judgment upon all, and to destroy all the ungodly, and to convict all flesh of all of the works of their ungodliness, which they have ungodly committed, and of all the things which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. Observe ye everything that takes place in the heaven, how they do not change their orbits, and the luminaries which are in the heaven, how they rise and set in order in each season, and transgress not against their appointed order. Behold ye the earth, and give heed to the things which take place upon it from first to last, how none of these things upon the earth change, but all the works of God appear to you. Behold the summer and the winter, how the whole earth is filled with water, and the clouds and the dew and the rain lie upon it. Observe and see how in the winter all the trees seem as though they had withered and shed their leaves, except 14 trees which do not lose their foliage, but retain their foliage from 2 to 3 years till the new come. And again, observe ye the days of summer, how the sun is above the earth over it, and you seek shade and shelter by reason of the heat of the sun, and the earth also burns with growing heat, so that you cannot tread on the earth, or by rock, or reason of its heat. Observe ye how the trees cover themselves with green leaves, and bear fruit, which give ye heed, and know with regard to all his works, and recognize how he that liveth forever hath made them so. And all his works go on thus from year to year, forever, and all tasks which they accomplished for him, and their tasks change not, but accordingly as God hath ordered it, so be done. And behold how the seas and the rivers in like manner accomplish and change their task from his commandments. But ye have not been steadfast, nor done the commandments of the Lord. But ye have sinned away, and spoken proud and hard words with your impure mouths against his greatness. O ye hard-hearted, ye shall find no peace. Therefore shall you execrate your days, and the years of your life shall perish, and the years of your destruction shall be multiplied in eternal execration, and you shall find no mercy. And in those days you shall make your names as eternal execration unto all the righteous, and by you shall all you who curse, and all the sinners and godless shall implicate by you, and for the godless there shall be a curse. And all shall rejoice, and there shall be forgiveness of sins, and every mercy and peace and forbearance. There shall be salvation unto them, a godly light. And for all of you sinners there shall be no salvation, but on you all shall abide a curse. But for the elect there shall be light and joy and peace, and they shall inherit the earth. And then there shall be bestowed upon the elect wisdom, and they shall live and never again sin, neither through ungodliness nor through pride. But they who are wise shall be humble, and they shall not again transgress, nor shall they sin the days of their lives, nor shall they die of the anger of wrath, but they shall complete the number of days of their life, and their lives shall be increased in peace, and the years of their joy shall be multiplied in eternal gladness and peace all the days of their life. And it came to pass, when the children of men had multiplied in those days, and were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters, and the angels, the children of the heavens, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Semyaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual implications, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then they swore all together, and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And they were all in 200, and descended in those days of Jared in the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And these are the names of their leaders: Semyaze, their leader; Arakibiba, Ramel, Kokobiel, Tamiel, Ramiel, Daniel, Ezekiel, Barjikel, Asrael, Aramos, Tatrael, Aniel, Zachiel, Zamasapiel, Satharael, Turiel, Jomiel, Sariel. These are their chiefs of tens. And all the other together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for themselves. And they began to go unto them, and to defile with them. They taught them charms and enchantments, the cutting their roots, and they made them acquainted with plants. And then they became pregnant, and they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh, and to drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusation against these lawless ones. And Aziel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth, and the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of anatomy, and beautifying the eyelids, and all kind of costly stones of the coloring tinctures. And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, that they were led astray, and became corrupt in all their ways. Semyaza taught enchantments and root cuttings. Aramaros, the resolving of enchantments. Barakajel taught astrology. Kokabel, the constellations. Ezekiel, the knowledge of the clouds. Archiel, the signs of the earth. Shamsiel, the signs of the sun. Sharsiel, the course of the moon. And the men perished. They cried, and their cry went up to heaven. And then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from the heaven, and saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all the lawless being wrought upon the earth. And they said to one another, The earth made without inhabitant cries the voice of their crying up to the gates of heaven. And now to you, the holy ones of heaven, the souls of men make their suit, saying, Bring our cause before the Most High. And they said to the Lord of the ages, Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings, and God of the ages, the throne of thy glory standeth unto the generation of the ages, and thy name holy and glorious and blessed unto the ages. Thou hast made all things, and power over all things hast thou. And all things are naked and open in thy sight, and thou seest all things, and nothing can hide itself from thee. Thou seest what Azazel has done, who has taught the unrighteousness on the earth, and revealed the eternal secrets which were preserved in heaven, which men were striving to learn. And Shemyaza, whom taught thou, has given authority to bear rule over his associates. And they have gone to the daughters of men upon the earth, and have slept with the women, and have defiled themselves, and revealed to them all kinds of sins. And the women have borne giants, and the whole earth was thereby filled with blood and unrighteousness. And now, behold, the souls of those who have died are crying and making their suit to the gates of heaven, and their lamentations have ascended and cannot cease because of the lawless deeds which are wrought on the earth. And thou knowest all things before they come to pass. Thou seest these things, and thou dost suffer them, and thou dost not say to us what we are to do to them in regard to these. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. You know what it sounds to me, as I hear this, it sounds to me like there's a definite rebellion which is taking place. But we're not necessarily referring to the Father, the Mother, the Christ at this point. We seem to have a rebellion of the ones involved with this particular earth plane, the actual earth that we're at here in this system. And it would seem to be because, as we know from the story of Yaldabaoth, that Yaldabaoth was jealous. Yaldabaoth made a declaration that he was the only God and there was no other God before him or beside him. This was after understanding that there was the Father. And when he did this, all of the creations of Yaldabaoth, Yahweh, were wondering what he was referring to, why he was jealous. And when they understood that there was a higher God out there, they had a choice. And I think they had a choice between continuing to follow Yaldabaoth, who they now knew was not in his right mind with what was going on, or to get in sync with the Father. And there, I think, is a rebellion that took place. A rebellion amongst all of those who were causing problems. Now, I don't necessarily, as I said, I don't necessarily see that Yahweh, Yaldabaoth, was bad, evil. I think he just was arrogant, misguided, because he thought he was it. And when he found out, he didn't understand. But part of that goes back to Sophia, because she put the veil up. She's the one who cast him out of the immortal realms when she saw what was created. And so he didn't have the opportunity to learn about the Father because he was cast out. And in being cast out, he could only do what he could do with the knowledge he had. And then when the Father did introduce himself and did make himself known, that didn't send him in a way of wanting to know the Father. It only made him angry, arrogant, jealous, because he wanted to be the one. He wanted to be the be-all, end-all God. And so therein, I think, is some of the problems. And I think he had a rebellion with those around him. So it seems as if when we read the Bible, we're reading a book that has many different gods in the Bible. We have the Almighty, the Father, but then we have the creations that came about later, much later, who went off into the world, Yaldabaoth, Yahweh, and then the creations he made, understanding some of what was being told wasn't true and rebelled. And I think that's where we're at. There's been a great rebellion for a long time. And we see that all the time when we watch movies, how the bad guys fight with each other. How, when one finds the truth, one wants to become power hungry. So when they brought all these teachings down and they were teaching about the kingdom, were they teaching humankind some of the wisdom that was going to help release them from their situation? Some of them might have been. Were they teaching them things that were going to hurt them? Yeah, some of them. You see, if you teach somebody something and they're not ready for it, it kind of blows their mind. So in some cases, I think that's what happened. In other cases, I think they taught partial sciences so that it confused those who were learning it because they didn't have all the pieces to the puzzle. So I think all of this comes in together into the mix. It's just something to consider as we put this puzzle together. Okay? That brings us to a channeled reading for today, our channeled message. So let's check it out. Today it's Codes and Information by Archangel Michael. Here we go.
Codes and Information, Archangel Michael, February 22nd, 2016. Channeled by Daniel Scranton. Within your field you contain codes and information that exceeds your wildest imagination. When you discover a new concept or you receive information that seems to come from outside of you, it is truly because you have deciphered one of your own codes. You will always be unlocking more of this wisdom, and it will always be closer to you than you think. There is no need for you ever to try or to strain yourselves to get what you need. It is always a falling into place that occurs. So give yourselves more relaxation time, especially when there is something that you want or that you are trying to figure out but cannot for the life of you get. We encourage you to have the approach that you are allowing something that is natural to occur, because there is a tendency in you, upon hearing this information, to put your energy towards deciphering the codes and unlocking the information. It is not something that you will consciously do, but it is something that happens when you rest and relax your consciousness. That is why so much is able to be deciphered from your dreams and when you are most tired. We give you this so that you will know that there is so much more available to you and that it does not have to come from the higher realms. You are awakening, and when you awaken you naturally see, and feel, and hear, and know more. We are Michael. We are infinite. We are love.
Okay, good message. Very good message. Now, take all these messages, with a grain of salt. Learn from them what you're able to learn from them. That's the important part. One of the things that's important in all of this, remember, when Yaldabaoth went into the world and created, Father knew all that was going on. Nothing was beyond his knowledge of what was happening. At any given time, he could have ended all of that. It didn't have to go on, but he allowed it to happen. So there was something within that the Almighty knew was going to be important, and in the foreknowledge that the great Creator has, this is all unfolding according to what was known was going to unfold. And it's to give us the opportunity, I believe, to evolve. We find this separation from God, which is exactly what happened with Yaldabaoth, Yahweh. He was separated. Well, when things are separated, there's always an opportunity to come back. So at some point in time, Yahweh had an opportunity to come back to God, as well as all of those that were created by Yahweh had an opportunity to come back to God. And that's what all of this is about, for someone to become separated, but then come back. So keep that in mind as we go through all of this, and as we look at all of the things that are in this world. This is a tough world. There are the powers that be. There's the archons. There is an influence that is really putting a lot of pressure on humankind, challenging us, and we need to really learn and be on guard about what's going on. But we don't need to be afraid. We simply need to understand the spirit that flows through us is a spirit that is divine, unconquerable, indivisible, full of strength. You can go on and on and on. That spirit is what flows through us. And once we got that, once we understand that, it's a game changer, because then we don't have to be afraid about anything that's going on, because we understand that everything we need to have to move through all of this is already within us. We just need to be connected to it. All right, let's do our meditation for today. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath and exhale. Take another deep breath. Exhale again. And another breath. And exhale. Now, let's imagine ourselves walking down a path. And as we're walking down this path, we see others walking as well. And everybody's moving in different directions. Everybody's moving according to something that is inspiring them to move along. Whether it's the light or the dark, matters not. All that matters is someone is moving along the path. And as we move along the path, we see things. And as we see the things along the path, we understand that there's various ways we can interpret what we see. And the interpretations that we assign to the things that we see provide us with the lessons that we learn in life. We realize that in this world, this physical world, here on earth, that we are confronted with the rules and the laws of duality, of good and evil. And our challenge is to understand what that means and how we work with all of these energies. And through this we understand that there is neither good nor bad, just different qualities of being. And that we can move from one to the other, and sometimes the things that we think are good are beneficial to us, where sometimes the things that we think are bad are also beneficial. And we realize that the lessons along the way keep us focused in the direction that we are moving. And so we learn to look at life objectively, without judgment. So as we move through the world today, let's just imagine walking through the world and just looking at the world as an observer. Walking across the earth. And that whatever happens from one end of the earth to the other, we simply observe. And in our observation we learn by being non-judgmental. For the moment we begin judging, the moment we close ourselves to learning what is being shown or taught. So we keep our minds open. So just imagine yourself walking, open-minded to experiencing what the world is showing today, all the while maintaining that inner connection to the Almighty, to the Father, the Mother, Christ. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, Mother, Christ, thank you for emanating your essence of love, light, and unconditional blessings into our lives. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to see beyond the veil of illusion, to understand our connections to divinity, to eternal life, to immortality. Help us to understand that which we are learning here on this earth plane, that we might share what we learn with others, and thereby expand the knowledge across this entire plane. So let's just imagine ourselves moving through life, feeling the flow and the emanations of love, of spirit flow through us, and just shining outward into all that we see, do, experience. And let's imagine that light sharing from one person to the next, until one by one all are seeing with eyes open and hearing with ears that are hearing. So let the subconscious mind continue on that journey, and let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. All right, my friends, that is it for today. Thank you for being here. Just remember, this is a great mystery that we're dealing with here. And all mysteries can be solved if we just put our minds to it. We need to open our eyes to see. We need to open our ears to hear. But the great thing is we already have the eyes and we already have the ears. It may not be the physical eyes and ears, but it's certainly the ability to hear and the ability to see. So let us go into the world and let us see and let us hear and let us understand the deeper mysteries of what is taking place. And as such will rise above the darkness and confusion and the fears, and ultimately realize that there is nothing to be afraid of, because we live in a world of love. We live in a world of blessings and peace and harmony. I think it's a lot more simpler than we allow ourselves to believe. I continually remind myself that Jesus said, "You must be like a child to enter the kingdom of heaven." And so if we just contemplate that meaning, I think it really says a lot about what's going on, who we are, and what this is all about. So that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow. You guys have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you soon. I love you. Keep loving each other. Peace. I'm out of here.